I was thinking, I saw a video of you. I think you and I are our heads are exactly the opposite.
Yes. I love that. I love that. I love that. You have already a very positive energy.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice. As do you. The thing is, right? I believe we can talk about serious things and discuss hard things, but if we inject humor into that, that makes it easier to talk about, I think.
100% I'm the same because very often when I do public speaking and I see the room getting like very down with my story, and then I say, people, just take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Imagine you're in the best place where you feel happiness, where nothing is difficult. And I said, this is not a funeral. And they all open their eyes and they smile. And that's for me the best blessing because, as you said, we can discuss difficult things and just put happiness in it because you don't learn when things are easy. I think we are ready for the podcast.
Welcome to this week's episode of Chewing the Crust. Today's guest is Pamela, or Pam Michaux, author, speaker, and mother. Pam was sent from the Congo to Belgium at 7 years old during political conflict. She was promised safety. What followed was abuse, racism, and years of being made to feel like she didn't belong anywhere. Even as a child, she was already protecting others. By adulthood, she realized survival had become familiar and healing had been postponed. Her book, Mundele Diaries, was written not to expose the past, but to reclaim it, to give voice to the child who had none, and to speak for anyone who has ever felt unseen or unworthy. Pam does not speak to impress, she speaks to awaken. This is Chewing the Crust. And now regular listeners and viewers will know, Pam, that all of my guests get a little poem. So I've got a little poem about you that I'll read and then we can have a chat if that's okay.
Amazing. Thank you, Mark.
Perfect. Okay. So she learned to stand when the ground gave way, to carry her truth, but not always say. Silence taught her how to survive. Pain taught her how to stay alive. But wounds became words, and words became light. Voice, once hidden, now speaking in sight. Some stories scar, some stories rise. She chose her truth and changed her life. Please welcome Pamela Michaux.
Wow. Mark, I mean, I did not know that you will give me that poem. So thank you for that.
I'm
I
glad you
mean, I'm
like it.
getting emotional. Sorry.
Yes, we like tears.
Yeah.
We like tears.
Yes. Yeah. Tears is part of the healing because tears is when it resonates with you, when you feel happy, when you feel pain. And yeah, thank you. I mean, I have no words. This is like you dropped the bomb before we even started.
Well, you know, I think all of these things that we talk about on this podcast, I talk to lots of people who have been through surprising scenarios. They're not always bad. Usually there is a difficult element to them. Um, but people then go through cogs and machines and wheels of strength and they come out of the other side and they are an example and an inspiration to other people. And I think for me, the big thank you is to celebrate that. And that's why I do the poem, because I think it does celebrate the best I can, because I don't know you very well. And hopefully we will know each other better by the end of this. But I want to celebrate you. I want to tell the story that you are a superhero and you just don't know who you're walking past when you walk in the street, who you're going to pass in the street and what their story is. And that's why we all need to be kind to each other.
Yes, I mean, it's beautifully said, and it's very often where people judge or just assume things of others without even realizing. what happened to them on the day or in the past. And it's actually sad. I mean, now people, they prefer to film what happened. People are filming instead of helping
I
each
know.
other. That shows how lost people became.
Mm,
Your survival instinct actually, in a way, died. Because when you see an animal, when an animal sees fire, the first thing they will do is helping what is theirs or
mm,
what belong with them. And that is a community that we have. And I hope that the message that we're passing, and also with my book, whatever you've been through, you do not have to stay bitter or in pain. You have to want the way out. And there is a moment, help the one next to you,
mm,
because you don't know life. You know, there are things happening that you can't even explain. The person you turn your back, maybe is the person who will reach the hand and not the family member you know for all your life.
mm,
And that's what happened with me. My childhood, you can say it was a tough childhood for sure. But on the other way, I see it, it was the best school given to me, because now it created empathy in me that is not the usual empathy, because I can put myself in other people's life and place
mm.
and say, you know, it's okay not to be okay.
I want to come to that in a second, but just in response to what you've just said, I think I wonder sometimes this thing where people pick up their phone and they go to record anything they see. I wonder if it's become a little bit of a coping mechanism because you're looking at it through a screen and you're almost removing yourself to the scenario, because you're almost making you're like a third person. You're like looking in on it if you're looking through the screen, and I wonder if that's a way that people try to manage it so that they are not there quite as much. But then equally, I don't understand it when you go to, say, a music concert or go and see an act that you've wanted to see all of your life, and people just watch it through the screen. They're the times for me you want to be present and there and looking at in the eye of the person that you've gone to see. But I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Well, I believe it's, and that's my opinion. Everyone has an opinion, and I respect that. But it's to show I was there. I've been there, and very often while they're already in the same place, they're already sharing it on social media. So what others perceive of them, it's more important than what they live. But then you are not living your life. You're
Yeah.
living to be seen. And the real thing that for me became like the most obvious, I live for me.
Mm,
That people like me, good. If you don't like me, good as well. I will not stay away from it. But what I will do is be respectful toward others and towards myself. But respect go both ways. You can't expect respect from someone if you do not respect them. It's the same the way we set boundaries. How do you want people to respect you if you do not respect yourself? It starts within. We all want change. We all are there like judging and blaming others for what happened in our life. I have all the reason to become a horrible person and to treat others in a bad way. But it's a choice. It's a choice. And you're not telling me, oh, because my life was difficult. You know what? Many people's life were difficult. And very often the people who had the most difficult life, they're actually the one that starts reaching out to others.
mm,
But it takes a lot of strength and a lot of discipline as well to say, I do not want to copy what happened to me. I want to be the person that stop it.
mm. Break the cycle.
Yes, break the cycle. And in my case, generational abuse, it was something that was very obvious. once I start studying and trying to understand why people's behavior, especially for my family members, why they were like that. And I realized it's a generational trauma and a cycle that repeats, repeat, repeat. And I was the one who said enough.
Mm.
I had aunties, older, my oldest sister, who came to me and said, Pam, wow, I want to have your courage. And my answer was very simple. You have it. You just have to have the fire and, revamp, feed your fire within. Look in it and look within and be honest with yourself. And that's where it starts. How can you go outside and try to make change if you are not able to change you?
I agree. Now, everything you've said so far, every sentence you say, I want to say, yes, let's talk about this. But because I contacted you at the end of October, the beginning of November, or actually, I think you contacted me, but I was so excited because I read your story, and obviously it's difficult, and we are coming to that now. But the way you've managed it, I've met lots of people doing this, and I've spoken to lots of exciting people, and everybody I speak to, even those that I think, "Oh, I'm not sure if these are right for the podcast," or that everybody is just wonderful, and I love difference. I love people who are different to me, who know something different to me, or have learned something different to me, because I can learn from those people. And sometimes on paper, people are not as exciting as they are when you meet them, but you're exciting on paper. So you're going to be like amazing to talk to. So let's go back. Let's go backwards. You are originally from the Democratic Republic of Congo, right? The DRC. And you're
Yes.
from a place called Mapangu.
I was born there. Yes.
Okay. So please tell me about baby Pamela and how your life started. What's your story? Right back to the beginning.
Right back to the beginning. Well, my mom was from Congo. She passed away now, but my mom was from Congo. My father, white man from Europe. And when he arrived there, he met my mother. They fell in love. That's like the official story. Then baby Pam arrived. My mom had a son before who is black, not from the same father. So imagine in the Congo, the majority of people, we can say they are black. So I arrived and they called me Mundele child. From there, my book. Mundele is the name saying the white people back then, because the history between Belgium, France, there is especially Congo and Belgium. You had the king, they had the biggest genocide actually, that also with slavery. And so the people over there were very marked. So from the moment I was born, I wasn't even accepted within my own family on my mother's
And
side.
can I ask you, is Mundele seen as a derogative term over there?
It is.
Yeah. So it's
Yes.
not just white person, it's
No,
the
it's not.
equivalent of the N word here, but the other way
Yes,
around.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Because it was like their name to say to the people who were white, light skinned.
Mm.
And even in school, I remember the teachers, they used to give all the other kids first water before giving to me. I mean, it was felt even in the streets. It was really, it's really a very strange thing, because on the one side, they see being lighter color as superiority, like you're above them. It's very strange. Like my mother was praised being married to a white man. And
Because there's a respect that goes with that, because the white man is seen as powerful and wealthy and all of those
exactly,
things. Yeah.
Yes. What is sad, because in the end of the day, Mark, if I cut my finger now, I put a needle here and blood will run, and I ask you to do the same, and we look in the camera, the blood will not have a color. If you needed a kidney or a heart, you will not ask the person if they are black, white, or Muslim, or Catholic, or we are human beings. So it was very difficult to place myself within the family. I have a younger brother who's 14 months younger than me, and a sister who's 5 years younger than me. So when my mom used to work and drive big trucks with my father, because they used to have an import export, go deep in the jungle. So she used to leave me with my grandmother. But my uncles and aunties very often, and the kids, they were very mean. Even my half brother, well, because my father was a very violent person, and when he used to drink and hit, they will say like, punish me for his action or my brother. So we were like the bad children, even in school.
Mm.
But as a child, you don't understand. And when the war started slowly, I mean, not war, it was a genocide, Hutsi and Tutsi. The tension in Congo started to rise. It was in Rwanda, but my mother used to drive deep in the jungle and bring stuff so she could feel the tension. And the news at the time, it's not like now where people have phones and, so things were happening there that back here, it wasn't always shown. I remember hearing my mother begging my father to take us away and bring us to Belgium. And I used to think by myself, like, why my mom, I mean, it's his wife, has to beg for their children, because I was also his child, and my brother and my
Mm.
sister. Why does she has to beg for our safety? And on the other side, my father was also racist towards my half brother, my mother's
Mm.
first child. I used to hear him calling him nigger. And the servant, they called them over there boys that cook, clean, drivers, and used to call them really bad names. And they couldn't even look at me in the eyes. And I knew like this is wrong without even understanding the full picture of it. Very often our body understands more than our mind actually give the information. It's like you feel the air change. You feel people like even walking, they say walking on eggshells. You
Yeah.
say eggshells, yes. And very often I felt like I did not belong. So when my mom said, you're the first child, you going first, and you have to behave, be a good girl so I can come and your sister and your brother can come and it's a better life. Something in me was already like, I mean, I'm going to another country. It's like crossing over. I never took a plane. I was 7 years old. So I listened to my mom, and that's what I did. And that's why it's very important when we make someone do a promise, we have to also teach them that certain things, even if you promise, there are things you shouldn't accept, and actually be aware of it. I wasn't prepared in the way that I should have been.
Do you mean to leave that country and begin in another place alone, or just
Yes.
just the transfer, or the whole thing?
The whole thing, because I was supposed to go. I mean, I went to my father's sister, so she was also my auntie, but she was
Hmm.
blonde, blue
And you'd never
eyes,
met her before?
never met her before.
Wow.
And her husband. So imagine from Africa where the smells, spicy food, the sun, you walk bare feet, going to a
Noise.
country. Yes, noise, people singing, people dancing, even a funeral.
Mm,
In Congo, the way we celebrate the dead is different than what
mm.
you do in Europe. For me, the first time I went to a funeral in Belgium, I was shocked.
It's not
I was
solemn, is
like,
it? It's like a party.
oh, in Africa was, people cry, but then they dance, they celebrate.
Yeah.
They having like a party to celebrate the person's life.
Yeah.
So the first time I went to a funeral, I was like, there is really something bad, and really bad. And then they put in the ground, and then people eat. Everyone is dressed in black. It's like an alien country that I came in,
Mm.
and I honor my both roots. I'm as black as white. I don't have to choose any of them. I belong to the both worlds. And we all belong to each other because in the end of the day, we have feelings. We cry when we get sick. We have the baby, the child posture when we are in pain,
Mm.
when we are sad. We mimic different things exactly the same. It's just the culture that changed and the color.
I think I think in conception, when a sperm meets an egg, I think you have something along the lines of a 15 trillion chance of being born. Being made that human. You've won the lottery a million times over because of that. And then after that, it's where you are born. For me, um, I don't feel any more entitled to be born in the UK than anybody else. You know, I'm very lucky, but
Yeah.
uh, if you're born in Congo, the chances are your life is going to be more difficult than if you're born in the UK, right? And I, I don't understand how anybody can look at the world any different because as soon as alien invaders come with laser guns, we'll realize how quickly we need to club together and look after each other rather than, fall out. But I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. And I can't begin to appreciate how it must feel for a 7-year-old to be born in their home country with their family and not feel part of it properly, and then to come to their other home country and again still not feel part of it. Can, do you remember? I know you've said it. You got a feeling of what that was like. Can you remember as a child almost understanding that?
I remember asking my mom, I say, why am I not black or white like Papa? Because I could not. Now, people, with social media and singers, because at the time we didn't have Destiny Child yet,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
first
yeah,
time I saw them, I say, like, wow, I'm not the only one.
yeah.
I had my sister and my brother, but I used to ask my mom, I say, why can't I just be, white or black? Because it's easier. At least if they call you white, you are white. If you call
Mm,
you black, you are black.
yeah.
But they never called me brown. They called me black or white.
Mm,
I mean, Mundele or nigger. It's even,
mm,
it's okay. I prefer them to say like you're black or white, but it was not in a nice way.
no.
And when I went in Belgium, I have one of the memories marked, and actually I wrote it in my book. Sometimes things happen to you and you suppress them. It's like they didn't happen. But I never buy bleach in my home because one of my uncles with my aunt that I lived with, they washed me with bleach to make me clean. And I, after try scabbing my skin, like, I wanted to become white because I say like I am dirty or, so. And then I remember my mom always putting her hand next to me and asking me that question, like, if I hurt myself, which color of blood do I have? And every time she hurt herself, she would say, Pam, look, you know? And then when I hurt myself, she would say, you see, my color is the same color as yours. And if your father do it, because my mother didn't have that point. That's one thing she said, God, because obviously we were Catholic raised by my mother, I mean, till age of 7. And it helped me a lot because very often, even as a child, that you say, especially going to, I mean, that adults wash you and put you in a barrel, and start cleaning you with bleach and everything is like in your face and your
Mm.
eyes are burning. I mean, it's something that is very, it marks you. Even as telling you, I get these chills because my body remember just by speaking about it. And when I wrote my book, one of the things was like, I started having those nightmares, everything starts coming up. But I had to face it to be able to feel free because I was still trapped. And many people that I encounter or people, even like random meetings, there is that anger often that we keep in us, the anger of injustice, on punishment. And the only way you can fully live your life is like you interviewing people so people can relate. We all need to belong somewhere.
Mm.
And for me, my childhood was, I never felt like I belonged anywhere until I said, well, I've been made like this. There must be a reason why I am like this. Until I saw Beyonce for the first time on TV. I was like, wow, she looks like me. She's brown. It sounds very silly now if you think about it because people don't even realize, but I'm born in 85, so by the time they became like popular and I saw it for the first time, I was like, wow.
Mm.
Because in Africa, in Congo, I only saw black singers and then when I came to Belgium, I saw only white singers. So
Mm.
when the international music popped in, I could relate.
I, I do think it's really important. I heard something recently, somebody complaining that advertising in the UK includes a disproportionate amount of people from different ethnic backgrounds. Because I don't know what the percentage is, but in the UK, the vast majority of people are white. I would imagine it's similar in Belgium. Um, but ultimately, they're trying to sell their products to everybody, so you don't want to exclude anybody. But it must be uh, emotionally difficult to never see people who look like you on the television. And when you do, that must be such a wonderful feeling. I don't think
It's
people can understand it. I can't really
no,
understand it because
no.
it's not
You have
something
to
I
go
will.
through it and mix children, Mark. And if you're listener, that you are Asian mixed with European or, African, whatever you are, mixed child, you feel different.
Yeah,
I have many kids from different, and they are white, but still their culture is totally different.
yeah,
I have a friend of mine, she's example Japanese, and her husband is Italian, but the kids, they have the Asian features.
mm,
And she says, sometimes it's tough for them because in the Italian family, they do not really belong because they are a bit like
mm,
outsiders and only mix if you can relate. It's like telling someone who lost their child or their parent, my condolences, I really feel for you. You can try to feel for them. You can only really feel when it happened to you because we grieve in a different way. Even if you have a lot of empathy, you can only put yourself when you've been through things
mm,
fully and truly. You can try to understand and have the empathy for it, But to feel that pain, pain is not measurable. It's not something you can measure. And very often I have people telling me, but Pam, I didn't suffer like half of what you did all my life, you know. Oh my God, it's like a blessing, but still I feel depressed. How do you do it? I say, first of all, don't compare your pain with my pain. And that's already the point where I stop them. I say, stop comparing yourself. I was compared from the moment I was born.
Yeah.
Even when you have siblings or children, be like your sister, be like your brother. Why can't you be like your cousin? Did you
Mm,
see this one? Got married. Why can't you be like this? All the time we're being compared.
mm,
So we are wired to compare ourselves, our value, our existing. No, stop that.
mm,
You are you, and I'm a proof of it. They said to me that I was stupid, that I was ugly. I did modeling, I did dancing, I'm doing events. I did what I wanted to do the moment I cut from them.
mm.
I moved country. So if it takes you to move countries for you to break free from the cycle, do it. But don't sit there and just take. Very often it's people who put you, the ones that put you down are the ones who don't do anything with their life, or they give you that brilliant advice.
I think most people who speak anything negative, it's usually a reflection of how they feel about themselves. So,
Yeah.
as you say, those people are just jealous. If you're doing something exciting and it's no coincidence that they are not. It's just because they're jealous. But I mean, the irony as well is I am mixed race. It's just that I don't look mixed race. I'm mixed white. My whiteness will be mixed with somebody else's whiteness, and it's just absolutely crazy that if your mixed race is with somebody of a different skin color, so it's physically obvious that we judge somebody like that. That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, my origins will be Irish, German, French, all sorts, but because they all had white skin, nobody looks twice at me. And
Mm.
I'm absolutely not comparing myself with the scenario you're in, but the facts are it's that simple.
Yeah, you make people aware of it, Mark. You
Yeah.
you make people aware of it. The way you explain it is beautiful because it's true. Because it doesn't show, it doesn't mean you're not.
No. And because there's nothing obvious, I'm not persecuted. That doesn't seem that's just not common sense.
No. But it starts from the house, you know. Children do not say these kind of things. I have a
True.
12-year-old, soon 13 years old. And when he was 7, and it actually broke my heart, I say, like, this is not going to happen to my son. He came home and he was very like sad. And I asked him, I say, what's going on? He said, are you my mom? And I was like, yes, I am your mom. He said, Mommy, you can really tell me, am I adopted? And I told him, no. Why, baby? Because kids in school told me that you cannot be my mom. I must have been adopted. And I said, but even if you were adopted, baby, and I showed him all the pictures of me being pregnant. And I said, let me tell you something. Even if you were adopted, there are people they can't have children, but they have the heart to raise children because being a parent is not just bringing the child to the world. It's also taking care of the child. Not everyone has the capacity or everyone can do that. And if you adopt, you will be as much my child as not. But I carry you. Actually, I had 28 kilo and I showed him. I was like, big, extra kilos, you know? I say like, I can show you even my stretch marks, you know?
I have no excuse, but I've got the stretch marks.
Okay. No, but it's just sad. And it comes from hearing others, you know, and it's the adults. If you teach your child empathy, love, they will copy it. If you teach
Mm,
them violence, hate, racism, a child is like a sponge.
Mm.
Mark, if I give you a dry sponge and I give you a bucket of water and I tell you, Mark, put it in the water, what will it do?
So call the water up.
Yeah, well, that's the same with a child. And it takes a lot to break free from it and say no.
So you arrived in Belgium at 7.
Yes, yes,
You're living with your auntie and uncle.
yeah.
I
And
mean, how did you, before we go into the actual story, how did you feel about one, being here on your own, but two, being away from your family, knowing that you were coming away from potential danger? Was that concerning to you?
well, it took me for my book to realize that one of my worries, because sometimes we think we forget elements in our life, what happened when we were a child, but the memory, it's like, a drawer, a commode. It's
Yeah,
like this,
yeah.
furniture
Drawers.
with
Yeah.
yes. And the brain is like this. Out of protection, it shields you and it's not deleting it. It's just putting it on the side because it's too much to cope with.
Mm,
And once I started writing, because it took me a while to write the book, things were coming back up and I needed to check with my brother and my sister. So I was there for 1 year. My father traveled with me, and my father wasn't a very loving father. And going to his sister unconsciously, it was like I was afraid
mm,
that she would be like my father.
mm,
And I was right. I was right. I mean, I remember first time stepping out of the plane and seeing snow and thinking that I was blessed, that everything will be okay. So it's like I put my guards down because, in the Bible story, it comes from heaven. I never
mm,
seen snow. So for me, it was like, wow, God is sending me a sign like it's going to be okay.
mm.
And then I felt the tension between my aunt and my uncle. So the 2 weeks and a half that my father stayed there, I had a heater in my room. And then the heater disappeared because it cost money. But their room was very heated. I had to start cooking for them, cleaning, working in the market every weekend, all the school holidays. They used to lock me in a truck where I had to sort clothes because her husband used to remove containers, that people donate clothes in bags. And he used to remove and select the best clothes. Basically, in that truck, I used to be locked in there for hours. I needed, and if the clothes weren't good, my food went down, down, down. In the beginning, I had the same food as them, and then bit by bit, it was reducing. No milk or chocolate milk. I had to drink coffee from age of 7. I
This is
mean,
like 1992, 1993.
1993. Yeah, yeah. Often she wouldn't want me to go to school because she had no helpers at the market because she had a clothes shop within the house. So people used to come. So after school, before doing my homework, I had to first clean everything and then I could do my homework. So very often, even while walking to school, because obviously I had to learn Dutch, I was speaking French and Lingala. And then very fast, I couldn't speak Lingala anymore because it was the monkey language. Because obviously she couldn't understand it. Because when my mom used to call, I would speak to her in Lingala and she was afraid. So it was a control. So I learned basically she was grooming me into something that was convenient for her. And I didn't dare to tell my mother what was really going on. So 1 year later, I was picked up from school by her husband. And when I saw my brother, my brother first, I was so happy. And then I saw my sister. And the first thing I asked my brother, where is mom? He said, she's not here. And that's where like it hit me. It said like, the abuse became more and more. I knew what was waiting for us over there.
It's
And my sister was 3 years old.
it's like one of those children's books. I think Lemony Snicket. I don't know if you know that one, but those
No.
books where, or a Roald Dahl book, where on the surface everything should be rosy, but actually underneath it, it's very sinister and frightening. And I can't imagine. I just can't imagine.
But it was like this, Mark. I mean, my auntie, she had a Mercedes. The house was beautiful, big house. I mean, 4 bedroom is not nothing. So they had two down there, and then the attic where I used to sleep with my sister had no door. That was also something that I found really strange, you know. Like I said, your body just know that things are not like 100%. And downstairs, easily they could have made a room because they had a big shop with a dining table, a fireplace, TV
Right.
area. But TV, we could watch when I could massage her legs, her back, you know, her feet. I mean,
Proper
yeah,
slavery, proper
yeah,
modern
no, it
slavery.
was proper, yes, proper slavery. And, but the crazy thing is, Mark, and it took me all these years to understand it, that I used to pray for her and ask, like, please give her a good heart, you know? She's maybe sad. I was finding excuses for her
Mm.
and for her husband because the beatings, I mean, they became more and more. So when my sister arrived, my sister was 3 years old. Imagine removed from her mother. And she couldn't barely eat. The only thing that she would eat is milk.
Mm.
And my auntie was not a very good cook. So very fast, I had to take over the cooking, not only the cleaning, the cooking, dressing up my sister, bringing her to school. And one time I remember being in the kitchen, cooking and preparing stuff. I heard this scream that, you know, even I feel it in my spine just speaking about it, where I heard my sister scream like she was like choking, like no air. And I run to the dining area and I saw my aunt, grown up woman, drowning my sister in a boil of soup. You know, these plates that are like, you know, like, I mean, a coincidence I have here,
Yeah,
a
bowl. Yeah.
3-year-old like putting her hair dripping with soup. So without even thinking, I went in between and I pushed my aunt, you know, to help my sister. I got the beating. I got so much beating. And yeah, I mean, those things, they create a bond. They make you stronger. I mean, you shouldn't go through those things, but they happened. And I want to make people aware. Don't always believe what you see from outside. So all this social media bullshit, I'm sorry for my English. It's people portray that everything is perfect and life is beautiful. But you know what? We all cry. We all have down moments. No one has a perfect time. You will see me in interviews where I literally wake up in my bed, but I want to do that interview because people should see me when I'm on my top and when I'm in my lower. So they
Mm.
can relate and say, like, it's okay not to be okay.
Mm.
And I seen it in my childhood. For the outside world, we were spoiled. But when you used to come in our house, and I actually asked a few people, I said, didn't you find it strange that the food had locks and the fridge had a lock? Don't you find it strange when you go to someone's house?
But
Or
you were not accustomed to this. Was a totally new world to you, so you didn't go to other people's houses. You didn't understand that. Presumably, you know,
no.
this was
For me,
just
I
a
thought it was normal.
massive, yeah, cultural change. Therefore, you thought that was normal.
I thought it was normal because I wasn't allowed to go to people's birthday parties because even in school, they have this tradition in Belgium and in Holland. They call it Sinterklaas en Zwarte Piet. It's Saint Nicolas. I don't know, Saint Nicholas, if I,
Yeah.
you know,
Santa Claus.
it's the man with the, yes, and he has servant, black people.
Yeah. Black
Yes,
Pete, I think.
Zwarte Piet, yes, Black Pete.
Yeah.
And Black Pete, they used to frighten kids. The black man will take you. But for me, imagine for me, I just came from Africa. My mom is black, you know. They made black people look like they are so bad. I
Like
mean, you have,
monsters.
yes, but for me, the real monsters in my childhood, even though I faced racism, were the white people at the time. Because the biggest abuse I had was from my father and my aunt and a lot of people that my aunt had around her. Because she used to put me in people's place to go clean there with old men. And you say like, how can you even do that to a child, or even worse, your own family?
What changed? Where did a little door open and the light come through?
My mom, so every year, so since I was 7, when I turned 8 was the first year that I celebrated. My aunt was still nice. 9 years old, 9 years old, still nice. I mean, it was less. But then at 10 years old, I remember walking down. I'm born 12 June and no happy birthday. I was so excited, like it's my birthday, you know? And walking to school, I mean, my brother, who's 14 months younger than me, he said, sister, we need to keep money on the side because we're getting leftovers of food, bones sometimes, and expired food that she used to tell people that it's for the animals, but we were the animals for her. And she even made me eat my bunny. I was 9 years old. She cooked my bunny and she served it and she watched me eat it. And she said, is it good? So imagine you eating and then she wait, and then she say, it's Fifi, my bunny. And so I start, you know, forcing myself to vomit. I never ate rabbits after that. For the rest of my life, I will never even touch, even if I see it at the butcher, I turn. And at age of 10, my brother bought me a cake with the money that we put on the side. With my sister, she made me a drawing with the three of us. I was in the middle, her on the left, and me on the right with the sun. That we looked very happy, and I started crying. And she said, I can make you a new one. But I was crying out of happiness because I said one day, and I kept telling them, one day it will be us. You will see. I will find a solution. So 2 days after, my mother arrived at my age of 10.
Wow.
It's 14th of June. And I couldn't believe my eyes, you know? And my aunt said, um, if you say something, you will pay after. I remember that phrase. She is not staying. And it was true. My mother didn't stay. She left again to the Congo.
And those
And that,
those those words are the words of an abuser. You know, those
yeah,
threats.
yes, no, but
They
it was.
because she knows she's doing something wrong. Therefore, it's not even like she's being innocent. She's told she knows that she's wrong.
Yes, no, for sure. I mean, the first time I ran away, I was beaten up and
And how old were you then?
10 years old, shortly after my mom left.
Okay.
And the police, because my auntie, she used to give them all money at the time because corruption wasn't at, I mean, imagining emptying containers and all of the guys who were emptying containers, bringing the bags to my auntie so she could sell it on the market. I mean, it was all corruption in it. Police officers drinking in their uniforms beer. I have this, or alcohol. It was all normal. At the time, they weren't like it is now.
Yeah.
They just got me back. They put me back there. So even the system failed me. They didn't even make a report, nothing.
So there's
Uh,
no trust anywhere for you. I mean, the
There
entire
was no
system is
trust.
failing you.
There was no trust. And she received these sticks that the police, it's like a rubber stick that the
Yeah,
police use to hit. She
yeah,
had one of those. So she used to beat us up with that. And even till today, my legs, I still have, where it damaged the veins.
yeah.
It's
Injuries.
still marked where you couldn't even walk. She stopped hitting the face because obviously people would see.
Yeah.
So it was the whole body. But
Mm,
I was very good in sports. And I used to play basketball really well. So one of the deals that I had with my auntie to be able to be in the team, if my sales were well and I cleaned the whole house, then I could do my training. So I used to bike for 30 minutes to be able to go train and 30 minutes back. And when my legs were bruised, obviously you don't dare to remove your trousers, and
mm,
to
mm,
be in shorts. And then one time the coach said, Pam, you need to go because we have this competition. I say, I can't. Can I go with long trousers? She said, no, you have to remove them. Otherwise you will be out of the team. So
mm,
when I removed and he saw my legs fully bruised, he started asking me questions. But obviously, after being running away and the police bringing you back, having a laugh and leaving again, I said, no. He said, we need to go to the police. I said, no, because they're going to send me back. I didn't want. I
mm.
said, you promised me. So I prepared everything. At the age of 12, I ran away again. I mean, my hair, they cut it like a rat had bitten in my hair. And I had the proof my face was completely bruised because they found money because I started keeping money on the side.
Mm.
And
And you're like, presumably as a mixed race girl in Belgium, things are difficult enough without your hair being in a mess,
yeah,
and yeah, I mean, that's just another thing for people who should be your friends to bully you for as well, right?
exactly. Yes. I mean, you being touched. And I have freckles. I don't know if you see it. So uh, already
Yeah,
it's not something normal, especially back then, I have my face is full of freckles and
yeah,
my hair, as you can see, and it was even more afro.
yeah.
So they cut it very short. And I remember sitting at the wedding of my cousin, where we went with all the family, and I had to sit. I couldn't move. None of my uncles or aunties said anything.
Mm,
I have nieces and nephews, and that's why silence can be very dangerous because I thought silence was safer than speaking up because that's what I was
mm.
taught.
Well, that's what they have conditioned you to believe, isn't it? That's why.
But when I saw them all laughing and having fun, and my sister reached the age where I had to be by myself and taking care of basically her. So I was 12. Then I
Mm,
ran away. I slept for 2 weeks in the streets and under the bridge where you have the highway, but
mm.
it felt safer than when I used to sleep back home. The only worry that I had was my sister and my brother, especially for my sister.
And when this happened, when you ran away, do you know what happened at home? Because your brother and sister were probably
No,
there. Were they worried that you were escaped and you were gonna
no, but I
do
told
something?
my brother. I told
Yeah.
my brother. I
No,
told
I
my
more
brother.
mean your auntie and uncle. Were they concerned that you
No, no, they
were
called the police that I run away, and they always portray themselves as they saved us from the savage Africa.
right?
That's how they used to tell people we saved them. Their mother didn't want them, and she used to keep repeating that to us that our mother didn't want us, and
Uh,
no one want us. That if it wasn't for her, we will be in Africa.
I see.
So all the time, all the time. So she did us a massive favor. Little did she knew that I actually had love back in Africa from my grandmother. And life was better because we didn't have to work and clean the house like slaves. We were her slaves serving her.
Mm.
Um, And when I went to my teacher, who I remember because I couldn't stay outside. I mean, I had no food, no money, no clothes. I used to ask friends from school, wait for them. And a few times I went to school to check if I could see my teacher, but it was very risky. And when I was placed, so I went to the police with the teacher. I went to the police and I said,
Mm.
I need to do this. And he told me, tell them you're going to take your own life if they send you back. So, and I went to another place that was not where my aunt knew all the police officers and everyone.
Mm.
So they could not neglect it.
Mm.
Then we had social services arriving, but they put me next to them. So it was very scary. Imagine the
Mm.
people who abused you for 5 years. You sitting next to them and you have to say they are bad people.
Mm. Mm.
I was still a child, even though I was my height, but inside you're still a child.
Mm.
And they placed me in a center. And I'm telling you, Mark, this orphanage, the first one, it was like for 3 months. For me, it was like being in a 5-star hotel. People say orphanage is hard and bad and this for me, and that's what I say for everyone, you feel it different. For me, it was like arriving in a 5-star hotel.
Mm.
I was happy. I remember waking up and starting cooking breakfast, and cleaning everything. And everyone started waking up bit by bit and say, what are you doing? I made pancakes and, because I used to cook all the time.
Yeah.
And, and they said, here, you don't have to do all these things because we had rules, you had to do your bed. And I said, so I don't have to clean? No. And you had in the weekends croissant. It was like amazing for me. I'm telling you, when I'm in a 5-star hotel now, I remember the first night that I had in the center.
Magic.
Yeah. And so I stayed there for 3 months. I couldn't see my brother and my sister, but I was allowed to call them because I made the government do an investigation for my sister and my brother. And I explained to them what was really going on over there.
And that's what I'm really interested. So you escaped. How does that work? As a 12-year-old, how did you cause that to happen? Can you remember?
Well, I started studying them. I started studying my auntie's behavior. They had, you know, and it's just a fact. I mean, after that, because when you've been through abuse, very often abuse, it's part of your familiar. And you very often being attracted by people who remind you, it becomes your safe place. I don't know
Yeah.
if it makes sense, but
It,
it's like you're
it doesn't
drawn to it.
it doesn't make sense, but I think somebody who
You can
hasn't been
understand.
abused, somebody who hasn't been abused doesn't understand, but I know that that's a regular trait of people who have been abused. There's almost a safety in familiarity, isn't there?
There is that, and there is another thing. You try to save them and you try to change
Uh,
the people.
yeah.
And that was very often, I will take people who are like completely lost because in a way
Mm.
I was lost as well. I
Mm.
mean, don't forget from age of 12, I had no family to lean on.
Mm.
I had a sister for my father because my father has many children. I mean, I can't even count them now. Um, he had a daughter who's white from his first marriage and a son, but the sister, I saw her in 4 years, 10 times. She was the only person that I saw
Mm.
as family. This woman who was like the social worker from the government. So the second home that they put me in was like my home, because first they put you in this you are mixed boys, girls, and you have different ages. All
Yeah.
kids that are like orphans, government kids, basically.
Yeah.
And they study each case and then they put you in the most adept center where orphanage that you will stay until you become an adult.
Yeah.
And when I was moved, the same thing, it was even better. It was a big house. I mean, I had my own room. It was amazing. It was really amazing. I smile about it because, like you said, of the painful things, find the light. And that's one of the moments that I remember, and I keep finding the light. So I study the behaviors and I remember. So I start telling them. So the market is at this time. Because obviously I've been doing it for 5 years. People have habits. My aunt, she will go up and then she will be going down, 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 down. And when she hits here, that's where the biggest beatings are. It was a cycle. It was a cycle. Like any woman or man who is in an abusive relation. First, you are the worst, and then you become the best. And then again, you are shit, you're worthless. It's all the time like this. Because they need to regain your love again for you to believe. And then they even crush you harder.
Yeah.
Because
It's
a
like
beating
drugs.
never, yes, and it never starts with just a slap, a beating. Very rare, they start beating you up immediately. It starts with a little punch, then a hit, and then a bigger hit until you are unconscious. And while I was in the center at 12 years old, I made them send someone from the government to check on my sister and my brother. So like this, she will not punish them for me because I knew that was a risk.
Yeah.
Because she used to put us against each other. It's your brother's fault. It's your sister's fault. My sister was the loved one on my uncle's side, her husband. And my brother, being a boy, was the favorite of my auntie. So in a way, they were safer than me. I was always the black sheep, so, but I didn't mind because they were younger than me. And, unfortunately, or in the culture, especially African culture that my mother raised me in from 0 to 7, it's like the oldest child is always the most responsible, it's always your fault. While you didn't make the children. So any parent listening, if you have children from different age, don't blame the oldest to have to set the example. It's not there to teach your children, their siblings, how they have to behave. Of course, they have to set an example, but don't compare them. They are them. And they are different, and it's okay.
And so then what happened for your sister and brother then? Were they taken into care as well?
Yes, 1 year later. Yeah. And my mom's sister arrived. She was at court. I was very surprised. My mother wasn't at court. Was very disappointing, remembering. Because the lady who used to take care of me, like my social, personal, how you call it?
Social worker?
Yes, she was like taking care. She was like my to-go person. She used to help me to go to school for the paperwork, everything. And she looked up for my mom and everything, but it was impossible. And my father was there, my aunt was there when my brother and my sister were placed, so I had to go again in front of court and explain how bad they were. And then
Who was your father there for? Was he there for you, or was he there for your
no,
auntie?
for my auntie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did he know that they were hitting you and using you?
But yes, but he was the same. He was the same.
Right.
So for him, it was normal.
Do you think he had a life in the Congo because he could behave that way without, without?
100%. 100%, because even after while I wrote the book, obviously people in the family who hold the silence because they were taught that silence was safer, because I wrote the book and I left my name in big fat here, Michaux.
Yeah.
I did not change my name because I wanted them to know, like, maybe you forgot me, but I did not forget.
Yeah.
And I want you to understand that this is not okay.
Mm. You were all part of this.
You
Because I
were
think
all part of it.
if you do nothing, you are with the abuser. That's what I
Thank you.
think people need to understand. If you don't stand in, if you don't support somebody, whether it's in domestic abuse or children, anything, you are an abuser.
100%. And that's one thing I was really angry about, Mark. I went to a
I bet you were
wedding of my cousin.
heartbroken, not just angry. I bet you were heartbroken.
No, that surpassed. You know, when you are in that survival mode, from age of 7, I've been in survival.
Mm,
And it's only last year, I mean, this year I turned, 2025, I turned 40. Only at my 39th, I let the guard completely, like, I don't have to survive anymore. I have to live my life.
mm.
And that is one of the reasons that I published my book, to say, like, stop, being in that anger.
I interrupted you. I'm sorry. You said you were really angry with them. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, yes, I was very angry with them because when I went to my cousin's, she's my age, and we lost contact and then we found each other again. When I went to her wedding, the uncle who washed me with bleach,
Yeah.
so he was there, and I was sitting, and I was like, I am here for her. Pam, you can do it. Like, I mean, I have to be strong. And when he came to me, he said, do you remember me? But remember the last time I saw him, I was 12-year old, and I was frightened by them because he
Mm,
used to pinch my arm, call me nigger, slap me, or my brother, you know, uh, like bullying us, an adult
mm,
bullying children. Never get my drink, throwing things, you have to go in the jungle, you belong in the jungle like your mother. These kind of things. And when he came in front of me and I had my big, and I was like talking to myself and holding my wrist like this because I started doing boxing and, you know, uh, just like to release all the anger. And I recommend it to anyone who's going to things, do some martial art or boxing, something that you can punch it out and then
mm,
write about it, because otherwise you're a ticking bomb. And the first
mm.
person who will come, you can explode and lose it.
Yeah.
And he said, you don't recognize me? And I stood up, and I had heels. I'm 175 tall. I stood up and I was taller than him. Mark, it was like this kind of experience that I felt like I was growing into, I don't
The
know, like,
Hulk.
yes, and I'm wearing green now. But it was like the little child who was afraid, because even when he was walking towards me, I felt like, when your heart starts to. And when he stepped, and I was like, you're not a child anymore, Pamela. Stand up. I literally had to say that to myself.
Oh, I wish. I know we talked earlier about filming everything. I would have loved to have seen a video of this.
Yes, but it was like, and I stood up and I said, like, I'm not that nigger who's afraid of you anymore. Of course, I remember you, because he had the nerve to pinch my nose. And I took his hand and I said, touch me one more time, very calm. Touch me one more time. I break every bone in your body, I told him.
Ah,
And the whole room went quiet. And I saw, like my cousin, because it was her wedding, I didn't want to. So I was speaking within myself, like, Pam, keep calm. And my sister, who was there, who was also terrified by him before, I saw on her face like panic, because I could have punched him
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that moment. I could have punched him. He gave me all the reason to punch him. And then I say, now smile. Everyone is looking. And I removed his hand and I twisted it like he used to do when I used to be a child. Literally a little bit, because he became very old now.
yeah.
So, and then I release it and I say, smile. Everyone is looking. And then I walk away. I went and I hugged my sister. And then my brother arrived after. I say, like, he wants to apologize. I say, I don't need his apologies. He just did. He just did because I stood above now. And then I had my other auntie who also came to me, and she said to me, without knowing everything, she said to me, Pam, why do you hate us so much? I told her, I don't hate you, because if I hate you, that means you exist for me. And I told her literally, do you know why I kept my surname? And she says, no. I say, because I was married. I could have changed it to remind myself I would never want to be like you guys.
Mm.
Because you abuse and you all watched and you think it's normal. I was the ugly. Look at yourself in the mirror here. And then she said to me, Pamela, you're so angry. It's not good for you. And she actually helped me because, and I was so angry because it was the little girl talking from the inside.
Yeah.
I say, you have grandchildren. And then she has three kids. She has grandchildren. I say, imagine I take two of your grandchildren, or one of them, and not the other. And I take them for cinema and candies and fun. And the other one, has to clean and work. How would you think your grandchild would feel? And she stood still. She said, but I didn't know. I say, you knew that we were beating up.
Mm.
Yes, but at least I took your sister and your brother. I say, yes, but it's not fair. And again, that was the little child. And she actually made me realize that for me to be fully free, I had to let that anger go.
Mm.
And say to the little Pamela in me, it's okay. It wasn't about you. It's just they were up.
Mm.
And the more I study into my family, like my father sexually abused even his sisters, my older sister, another sister of me, myself. There are so many women abused by him within the family, not even outside the family, and no one took him to justice.
Mm.
But what happened? An unpunished person keep doing it because he's not punished.
Of course.
I say it's your duty. Would you put your daughter with him? No. But you did find it okay that I was put with him in a room. And you all were almost abused of him.
Mm.
So there are many things that people have to realize when you close your eyes or you do not speak up for abuse, injustice. You're not better than the abuser, like you said before, because you allow it to continue. And I
Mm.
said, stop, I'm breaking the cycle. I wrote a book, I changed their names, but I kept the first letter of their names. And everyone in the family know very well who they are. Very well.
And I think also because I've been doing quite a lot of work recently on violence against women and girls by men, and I think something else, and it's also part of your story too. It's not just turning a blind eye and not just not saying something. It's more than that. You have to call it out. You know, if you hear men, and this is only an example, but it applies to all different subjects. If you hear men in your social group, I'm a man, I hang around with men, and when you hear them saying things that are derogatory about women, or when they are making jokes about these subjects, you've just got to say, and it doesn't have to be difficult. You've just got to say, that's not okay. We can't make jokes like that anymore. It's not funny. There shouldn't be a victim to jokes. And we have to stop it when it's that big, because it gets that big, and then it gets that big, and then it gets that big, and then it's just out of control. And there are many 7-year-old and 17-year-old and 27-year-old Pams out there. Certainly when it comes to modern slavery, people don't realize, but it's on every street. You know, it's in every town. And even now, we have to say something. If something doesn't feel right, if it doesn't look right, you've got to say something and you've got to call it out, because people don't deserve to live that horrific life. And it's not okay. It's just not okay.
Yeah, correct.
Let's move this a bit positive. You have, I think you're right. I think it's a gift to yourself, and I call it forgiveness. But for me, forgiveness is about drawing a line in the sand. It doesn't mean that what those people did to me in a scenario is okay. It doesn't mean that I will let them do something to me again, but I have to forgive it so that I'm not carrying the weight of it with me every day, everywhere I go. Because I think, and that includes me. I forgive the version of me that allowed things to happen. I forgive, but the weight of that and the pain of it, I think, can create such anger, as you've discussed. And the anger is just, anger makes you ill. I don't think there is another way to describe it. Anger makes you unwell. And if you can do anything not to carry anger, uh, even down to road rage, you know, any scenario, just forgive, just move on. Don't have anything to do with that person again if you don't want to, or you know, whatever it is. But so you've made the decision, that horrible auntie of yours at the wedding who said to you about carrying the anger, who presumably helped you realize actually she was a little bit right.
Yes. She wasn't horrible with me. She wasn't. This one, because they were 13 children, 13, 1 3.
Okay.
So it's a big family. So she wasn't the auntie that I was living with, but she was the auntie that used to take my brother and my sister and not me.
That is horrible.
And
I'm sorry,
yes,
but that's
and
horrible.
it is horrible because imagine as a child, you know, or taking my sister for the weekends. I never went, you know, with them. And my brother and my sister would come happy back and, you know, and I used to be cleaning.
Going back to what you said, if you see that's happening, you know, don't treat the older
Yeah.
child differently. But I think also, if why on earth would anybody not think, would Pam like to come as well? Just
No,
once,
she
twice.
asked and she said, but I asked for you, but she said that you need to do work. But I was a child.
No, it's not
But
okay.
then, you know, you have to, because I went back in the family and I really digged in the family. My father was abused as well as a
Yeah,
child. And does it make me want to abuse anyone? No.
no.
So that's what I say. We have a choice. Every day we walk out of our house or in our house, we have the choice to choose between good and bad. Don't tell me I didn't have a choice. Sometimes we do things because we don't have any other tool. But come on, especially nowadays, you have to ask for help or get help.
So where do you think you got those tools from? Given that you had come to Belgium at such a young age, do you think that those tools came from your mum?
100%. I believe, and there are actually studies I recently read about it, that from 0 to 7, it's where your base is created.
Mm. Formative years.
Yes, formative years. And I can see it with my sister and my brother because I had the luck to be able to be partially raised by my mom. My
Mm.
sister left my mom when she was 3 years old. And sometimes, and she's an amazing mom now. I mean, she's an amazing mom, not only now. and an amazing woman. But she got some of the examples sometimes unconsciously from the example she saw.
Yeah.
Even though I always, pushed her like, we don't have to be like this. So even after I used to say to her, it's wrong what they're doing, because I knew
Mm,
it was wrong, even as a child. And
mm,
why I got the hardest part, not only because I was the oldest, but they knew that I was judging them.
mm. They knew you were clever.
Yes, but I was called the stupid one. That's
Yeah,
the
well,
irony.
yeah, but that's also suppressing that. That's their fear because they know you're not stupid. But if they tell you you are, you might believe it.
Yeah. I mean, even in sales, I was better in sales than her, even as a child. And then she started to be in a competition. I look like Pam, very strange, very, even when I was placed in the center, she used to tell my brother, do I look like Pamela? I mean, or when she saw a picture of me with a t-shirt, she will go buy the same t-shirt. It was a bit sick. I mean,
Mm.
she is sick. It's not a bit sick. She is sick.
What happened to them?
But her husband passed away.
Hmm.
They divorced. I took them to court. Yes, I took them to court.
And what was the outcome of that?
I took them to court and I was placed in the center, and that was it.
Oh, so you took them to court so that you were not going to be.
Stand back to them.
Yeah, okay. So it wasn't like taking them to court for the terrible things they'd done. It was just so that you could
No,
escape it. Right. Okay.
yes, it was to escape. And I mean, she's in denial. She's in denial.
Mm.
Because when I got married at the age of 22, when I saw her again, I was with my husband, and I told him I need to do something. And I went exactly the market where I was working with her. I said to my husband, I said, I really need to do this, can you come? And I went to see her. The first thing she did, she said, wait, wait, wait. She went downstairs. She put on makeup. She said, you should have told me, because everything is appearance, you know? And she said, oh, you see, you succeeded. Um, I raised you well. And I looked her in the eyes and I say, you know how you raised me, and I know. And then she tried to give me one of the bags that she had there, guess. And I say, like, don't worry, I can buy myself those. Even when she tried to give my brother and my sister, because they kept contact with them, with her, longer than I did, I just cut off. But I wanted to go there to close that chapter.
It's like the exercising that demon.
Yes. You need to face your demon to not be afraid of it anymore.
I think you're right.
And that was for me. It's like when I had phobias and fears. And strangely enough, my fears and phobias disappearing.
Mm.
Since I did all that work, the inner child work and the getting back into the past and digging, it's nasty because I mean, I've been just telling you a part of what happened. And this is volume 1. And then I have volume 2 that will come.
I can't wait. I haven't read your book, but I can't wait to
I
read it.
will send it to you.
No. Well, okay, we'll do a swap. I'll send you mine. You send me yours.
Okay, I will send you one. I will send you one.
Because what I would say is that I haven't been through the things you've been through, but I've been through everybody's been through everybody's got a story to tell about difficulties. And the best thing I've ever done is written a book for me.
Yeah.
Even if you don't publish it, even if you do nothing with it, to write it down. And as you say, it unlocks memories and it unlocks things you think, oh, I think it also helps you to appreciate the mechanisms that you've put in place to deal with the things as well, not just the bad things. It also helps you understand the good things so you can make them bigger and work with them a bit better.
So true. So true. And it's more about accepting. I used to be ashamed of my past, Mark. I used to think, what happened to me was my fault because I was like programmed in a way, groomed in a way that it
Yeah.
was, I should be ashamed. And it's like it's all my fault.
Yeah.
For a very long time, I was ashamed.
And shame is the worst driver for human behaviors.
Yeah. Imagine shame and angry.
Mm.
And then the violence. I was raised with violence, and with violence, I don't say a slap, huh? It was beating, proper beating. Like with boxing, I do
Could
boxing.
could you be a violent person?
Yes. Yeah.
Were
Hun-
you as a younger person?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
The pain I endured in a way, I would not accept it from people in school anymore or people outside. I
Mm.
was very confrontal.
Mm.
And it was almost like they better be afraid of me. So like this, they do not touch me.
Yeah.
It was that mechanism.
It was a defense mechanism.
Yes, I would stand up for the weaker. I will never take someone that is weak. It's very strange, the paradox in it. It's still not good, but I would be like the superhero for the ones who are being bullied in school. Uh,
Yeah.
I used to go and be confronted, like, what is your problem? And
Yeah.
people used to fear me, especially at high school. They used to fear. Even for my sister, no one could touch my sister because they would say it's Pam's sister. Because I would go and fight boys, girls. Don't forget, I was beaten up by adults.
Mm.
You think a child would be, even now when I see a man hit a woman in the street, it's like I see black, especially when someone give me like a slap or touch. There is something in me that I have to like say like, Pam, stop, because it's a defense mechanism.
But I'm not dissimilar, and I had similar things at school. I wasn't abused. I wasn't, but I've always had a strong sense of righteousness. Not that I'm righteous, but I don't like it when vulnerable people are treated cruelly. I just don't like it. I've always stuck up for people at school in the same way, and I think I don't know. It's just a frame of mind, but I think something that I've learned as I've grown older is pick your battles,
Yes,
because I think that's both figuratively and physically. But I think in all cases, you can usually be what we call an active bystander. So
yeah,
you can see something, you've got numerous choices. You can do nothing. Well, that's usually not something that is going to help anybody. You can intervene directly, which can be risky. It can put you in harm's way. You can end up in trouble yourself. But you can call the police. You can call an ambulance. You can ask other people around you, come on, let's go over there and try and stop this, or let's go and witness it. Let's film it on our phone. Whatever it is that is a way of helping somebody. And again, this all goes back to, if you do nothing and you see it, you're part of the problem.
yes, yeah. I mean, even kids, they do it for joke, little kids and trying bullying. I say stop that immediately.
Yeah.
Uh,
But it's that calling out that little
yes,
action again.
yes, but I say stop. Do you want me to push you and think that it's a joke and tell you it's a joke? I say
Yeah.
stop. Even my son, yeah, but they did it. I say I don't care who did it. If you are part of it and you say nothing and you do nothing about it, or you don't go and talk to the teacher about it, you just say, yes, but then I will be a snitch. I said, prefer you to be a snitch than being a bully.
Mm.
but you do not participate. That's not how I raise you.
Do you have memories or do you have things from your childhood when you were in the DRC? Are there things that you now go back to for comfort, like food and, um, you know,
Yeah, I mean, there is the stone malachite. It's from there. It's green, actually. And even the herbs and mango. I mean, mango, I buy it every week, that it's high season or low season.
do you know, I saw your face. You just smiled as soon as I asked you that question. What a wonderful gift that you have that place in your head that is you can go to if you want to.
Well, Mark, I had to do that.
Yeah.
What I enjoyed while I was in with my uncle and my aunt, even in the center, because don't forget, I was in an orphanage with troubled kids as well.
Mm,
I had kids trying to suicide themselves,
mm,
overdose. I mean, I've seen things that, even if it was amazing compared to what I was used to, it was still very difficult.
yeah.
But to survive all this madness, I call it madness now, I had to be able to block everything around and just going in my cocoon and
Go
just
to a happy
blocking my,
place.
yes. And actually, I say it, when even now when I get really overwhelmed because I still have it, or I smell something that reminds me back, or even, the perfume of a person can bring you back to the place. It's not only the smell or taste, like shoot Bruxelles is Brussels sprout.
I
When I
love
smell
Brussels
it,
sprout.
oh. So I had to learn to go in that bubble. I call it my bubble of happiness. And yeah, just thinking of it, even now I can be like, the shoulders relax and breathe, and I just breathe through, and it becomes again, the happy place.
And does it involve, say, going on a journey? In your head, do you go to the shops and you can remember? Do you are you with your mom, or what does it look like, your happy place? Or you don't have to share that if it's uncomfortable.
No, 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 no. Well, there is one image of my mom. She used to wear this bun in her hair, like tied up. She was
Yeah.
very tall. And she had the smell of palm oil, you know?
Yeah, because
Yes.
I think DRC is very famous for palm oil, isn't it?
Yeah. So she really smelled like palm oil. And
Ah.
actually, I booked, and it's strange, before the book, I never cooked with palm oil before. It was like I was suppressing it, all of it. And now, even when I cook of it, it's like I close my eyes and I can smell the kitchen at home. She used to walk always bare feet. I'm always bare feet when I'm home. There are many things that I do unconscious that she used to do. And when I went back to Congo just before COVID, and I met my grandmother after so many years, she
Oh
told,
wow.
because my mom passed away when I turned 16. For many years, I thought I was 15, but I just turned 16 that year. When I arrived, she thought that I was my mom because I apparently looked like her.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
yeah, the little pleasure of life.
that must have been a special thing to go and see your grandmother like that.
Yes. I went to see her, and I did my mother's grave because I never been on her grave from the moment she passed away. So it was very emotional. I went with my little sister. And again, they seen us as the white Mundele Mundele, they used to call.
And did they say it?
Until now. Until now.
Was it almost nice to hear that?
It made me smile.
Yeah, because your memories of that part of your life are positive, even though that element of it was negative.
Yeah, it made me smile, funny enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really, I mean, one of the things my boss has always says is be careful what you wish for. And your story, I mean, for me, that would be the alternative name for your book. Be careful what you wish for, because on the face of it, anybody looking in would think, yeah, get out of the DRC, it's terrible, blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah.
you literally went out of the frying pan into a much bigger fire. Isn't it amazing that that simplicity of life that you had is now what you fondly remember?
Yes. Wow. You're the first person who actually put words to it. I remember it, but you actually put words to it. Thank
Magic.
you for that. Thank you.
No, yeah, you don't have to thank me, but I just thank you for saying that. I, I just think your tale is remarkable, and it's just as remarkable as I thought it would be. But you are wonderful. I, I, um, I go. I think I go to my childhood as well. Certain elements of it when I'm struggling, but I have in my book I've talked about um, meditation, because I kind of discovered meditation accidentally. I didn't realize what I was doing was kind of a form of meditation. Um, and actually, what we're talking about really is what I do. So if I can't get to sleep, or if I need things just to stop, I get in my head, I pack my bags, my suitcase, and I literally pack everything, because it's all about the minutiae when you do those things. And I get in the car with my wife and we go to the airport. And when we arrive at the airport, you get the, you park your car or whatever, and you go into the area where you can buy the nice smells and the aftershave, and then you get a coffee, and you get on the airplane. But for me, it's all about those tiny, tiny steps that you can really plug into when you're on holiday. Do you want to sit on the beach? Do you want to sit by the pool? When you're sitting by the pool, do you have music playing? What music is it? It's always Bob Marley around the
What
pool.
mine?
And I don't drink anymore, so it's a non-alcoholic drink, and just that warmth of the sun that is so warm that it warms you right. Because I have a bad back, it warms you right into the center of your body. Your entire body is just soaked in with warmth and sunshine. And those are the places I go. And I wish I could sometimes sit in somebody else's head so I could go on your journey. I'd like to see the Congo through your eyes, and I'd like to see your grandmother, and I'd like to hear that noise that we talked about. And but I think I think it's so important to have that ability to do that, and to go on those little journeys, and feed your soul when it's hungry. Because I think we forget to do that with the busyness of life, and I don't know. It's what makes us, you and me, the same. It goes back to that pinprick. You know, we are the same, and it's what anybody anywhere in the world can do. Anywhere, you can be in the worst scenario in the world, in a prison, or in the scenario you were in, and you can still go there. There's nobody can stop you doing that. It's such a magic gift.
It is. I have one thing that I had learned when the beatings became too much. It was like I was outside my body. I cannot explain it. So it's like they couldn't touch. And I think that's what's one of the things that my aunt and my uncle couldn't understand that it was my body in pain, but not my mind in a way.
Mm.
Even though it was stored, all the things happening. But it was like when the beating became too hard, it's like I was living from the outside, or even the other abuse. It's like I removed myself. Like my body was like a car,
Mm.
but it wasn't me driving the car.
That's really interesting.
Yes. And I had it even when the sport with basketball, there were movement like it's like a repetition. And even when I used to swim, like I used to swim 400 lengths by counting one, 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 two, two, two. And then they used to tell me like, how many lengths you did, Pam? And I would say 400. And they say like, and you remember all them counting? I say, yes. But you don't, your mind doesn't go, no, it's just like a recenter. Like I put everything back into line and I focus on that, and anything else, even thoughts that coming, it's like you move them away.
Mm. Do you think that's helped you remain psychologically strong? Because you clearly are. Do you think that is an important part of that?
I think that saved me.
I think so too.
That really saved me. I mean, I can see with my sister wasn't as much aware because she was very young. I mean, smaller. She was placed at the age of 8. So it's different, when you're 12, especially, puberty and everything. I think my mind, it was like they could not break it because my mind was mine. Maybe my body they could break, but my mind, I would not allow them to touch it. It's it's psychologically something very powerful.
It's very interesting to me that you've talked about generational harm. I think you've been a victim on one side of generational harm, but on the other side, I think you've been a beneficiary of generational strength. I think your mum was a very special person. And I
Yeah,
think she gave you something very special. And I don't know if your grandmother was part of that as well, but I can see you are who you are because of your mum.
thank you.
That yeah, that's very, very important, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, the only
2 times she be
oh
putting tears in my eyes. And Mark, what is this?
well, the other thing I want to ask you a little bit about is being a mum, you being a mum. What what advice would you give the younger you
It's gonna be
when
okay.
no, you wouldn't say that. I mean, obviously you would say that, but
No.
what would you tell the 12, 13-year-old you if you could only speak to them but not help them?
Actually, I would be speaking with the younger person of me, the younger version, even before 12.
Okay.
Get help. Yeah. Um, my only something that was holding me, I couldn't leave my sister
Uh,
because I didn't know what will happen to her. And very often, even with the beatings, I took her place. And I was waiting for her to be my age because in my head, it was something really strange. I was like, I have to wait till she's my age when I came. So like this, from age of, I came at 7. So when I ran away, she was 7.
mm. Because you thought I could handle it at 7, therefore she can.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my mind, it was like this, like I will get help, but she will be able to handle while I'm getting the help.
Mm.
Because I had no help. I was only hoping for help coming.
And I think that's a very important point, because I think in any situation, but particularly in a situation of abuse, the first person you have to look after is actually you.
But very often we do it for others, Mark,
Yeah.
because we think we are unworthy, or by helping the other, we make us feel better because we get that we need to defend them, protect them,
Mm.
and it gives us a purpose.
But equally, part of doing that was actually protecting you. When you're protecting your sister,
Yeah.
I think if you'd have gone earlier and not felt like your sister was in a protected state, I wonder if you would have been as successful as you have been in sorting it out. Maybe you weren't ready.
No, I wasn't ready. I mean, I tried a few times, but I couldn't, I
Mm,
remember my sister begging me, like, please let me come with you. And I used to tell her, but Natasha, I cannot, I cannot keep you with me in the street. It's dangerous. So, and actually, I didn't tell her when I ran away. I told my brother because I was afraid that she will say to my uncle and my aunt.
mm,
And what is really crazy is my aunt, she had a way giving her candy to make her talk. I never took her guilty for it. She was obviously manipulating. I mean, my sister was small. And
mm,
when I ran away, my brother had a bag with clothes that he had to deliver to me. But my sister said that my brother would deliver the bag. So my brother got the beating. And my brother used to not understand that my sister was only doing what the child do,
mm,
responding to an adult, responding to an adult.
mm.
And very often they had a conflict until I explained to my brother, I say, do you blame her? Because I never blamed her. But he couldn't see it at the time.
They didn't get the length of time with your mum to train them with, even
My
if she
brother,
came over
yes.
at 3. Yeah.
My brother, yes, because he was sent, I was 8 when he arrived. So he was 7. So
So
he
that
was,
shows the strength he had because he did have the same time with your mom.
yes. And even, as a, we are like twins. I mean, if you see us, I mean, I just have more hair than him, but even character-wise, and he's my best friend, my brother. It's a bond. And my sister, I love her to bits. It's a bond. No one can take that from us.
No.
And even when my aunt said, like, it's your sister fault or your brother fault, she wanted us to hate each other. She could never, because I would say it's okay, even when, and one thing my sister said to me, and it made me really think, it really hit me, and it was a few months ago. She said, like, how can you manage to write about it? And she cannot read a book. And she said, for me, it's too hard. She started, she said, I cry and, I getting nightmares you know, and I said to her, yes, but you didn't see all of it. And she said to me, sister, when you took the beating in my place, I wish it was me having the beatings because it was worse for me hearing you cry and getting the beating because then I felt even more guilty. So for her, the suffer was differently. I thought I protected her for something, but it marked her more than the beating. And then we had this dog, I mean, a stray dog that we gave her for her birthday because my auntie forgot. And I say, I will take care of the dog. But my aunt was beating the dog so much that I released the dog in the middle of the night because I couldn't stand it. And one of the things my sister, as her child mind, she said, but now we're going to have more beatings because before she used to release it on the dog as well. I say, but the dog is not there to catch our beating. But you know how it was programmed that even as an adult growing up after, for her, it was like the dog took the beating. So it was better to have the dog than us having the beatings.
Yeah.
But should I blame? For some people, will be shocking. But she was a child. She was,
Children are selfish. You know, it's down to what hurts you and what doesn't hurt you. And in that
yes,
scenario, it's not right, but it would make you feel as a little person a little
yeah,
bit safer.
safer.
I, I think that the part of your story, as all of your story is difficult, the part of your story that breaks my heart the most, and it happened more than once, is the fact that you escaped, went to somebody for help, and they didn't, and then you had to go back. That to me
And it was the police.
makes me want to cry.
Yeah, yeah. It made me think that I will never get out of there.
And it must have made you think, well, this is pointless, because
Yeah,
not only will you never get out, but nobody listens. And if one
yeah,
person listening to this story hears this story, and I know things are different, but they're not, there's still horrible things going on in the world. It is, if somebody brings this to your door, please listen and please try and help.
yeah. You have to do something, otherwise you're not better than the person doing it. If you turn away or say like, I don't want to get involved, you are already involved. The moment you watch it, or you see it, or you hear it, you are involved. You cannot turn around or walk away from it. Otherwise, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself if it's someone you really love was in that position. What would you want someone to do for them?
Yeah.
So when you encounter any of this situation where there is abuse, that it's a man being abused or a woman being abused or a child or an animal, if you do not speak up, you're not better than the person who's actually doing the act.
No, I agree. Thank you so much for speaking to me. I've never been to
Thank
Paris,
you.
so if I do come, I will definitely look you up.
Yes. And send me all the details for the book so I can find your book.
I'll send you a copy. We'll swap
I will send
details.
you also.
Send
Yes.
me your address, and so I'll send you mine, and we'll
I
swap.
send you I will here and I will sign it for you, Mark. And I want the
Brilliant.
poem in your book, please.
Okay, I will write the poem in your book. Okay, perfect. Good
Please.
swap.
Yes.
But I will be sending you a bill if it makes me cry.
It's okay. It's okay. You can send it with pleasure.
Well, I'm going to thank you so much for joining me on Chewing the Crust. I've loved meeting with you. I'd love to speak to you
Pleasure.
again when the next book comes out. Perhaps we can talk
Yes.
about that one again. And if my son's a chef, so he
Oh,
is always looking for places to go and eat, and I think Paris is quite a big one for him. So maybe if we come over and see you, we'll bring
or
him,
Malta.
and we
You're
can
always more than welcome also in Malta.
Malta, because I want to go diving in Malta. So
So
definitely,
come,
yes,
come.
that's a great idea. We'll do that. Pam, thank you very much for joining me on Chewing the Crust this week. Thank you for trusting this space with your truth. What you've shared today reminds us that survival can teach us strength, but healing teaches us freedom. That silence may protect us for a time, but truth is what sets us free. For anyone listening who felt seen in this conversation, your pain is not your identity, and your past does not get to decide your future. I've included in the link some help for people who might feel that they have been affected by the subject matter in this chat. And I hope it's been helpful for people. But as always, look after yourselves and look after each other. And I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye bye.